Talk shoes. Recorded live.
Hi, everyone. Good evening and welcome again to Notes from a Ghostwriter. I'm Jojana Summer, and we have a wonderful team of experts here for you tonight. First, let me say hi to my wonderful co-host, Sandy Lene. How are you doing, Sandy?
Oh, I'm great. Hi, everybody.
Glad to have you. We're also delighted to welcome back the leader of the Thin Veil Investigators Group, Marilyn Laffoon, who was our guest last week. Thanks for joining in tonight, Marilyn.
Thanks for inviting me back.
And how are you doing?
Good, thanks.
Wonderful. And joining us, as always, is our terrific producer, Rob DeSantis. How you doing, Rob?
I'm doing good, thanks.
Gotta check in on everybody.
You bet.
We've got a really exciting show for you tonight, featuring Richard Sennett, a noted paranormal investigator and author. Richard has been a ghost hunter since 1978, and he's the author of 15 published books, mostly on the subject of ghosts and historical mysteries. His newest book, due out soon, is titled The Psychic Solution to the Lizzie Borden Case. That sounds amazing. Welcome, Richard. It's great to have you here.
I'm glad to be here.
Thank you.
Welcome,
Let's start off
Richard.
by asking you to tell our listeners about how you got involved with psychic research.
Well, I saw a ghost one night. I was doing archaeology years ago at one of the old California missions, which some of our older buildings out here on the West Coast. And late one night, I got involved in a special project and stayed up late working on it. And when I went to leave the laboratory, I walked through the courtyard and saw a figure carrying a candle.
Oh.
And the figure was dressed as a monk, which didn't scare me because the mission is still a monastery. I thought, one of the brothers is up. I'll go talk to him.
Hey.
Well, I walked up to it and bam, it disappeared. It was gone.
Oh, wow.
But before it disappeared, it didn't glow or you couldn't see through it. It looked like a guy wearing a monk's habit. And he took his candle with him. So he vanished, leaving me in the dark.
Oh,
no.
Is that why you got scared?
Yes, that's exactly right. I wasn't scared till then. And it dawned on me, this must be a ghost, and I fell apart.
Oh,
and,
were you alone?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
And the good news is, from that day on, I've been researching ghost haunted houses and related phenomenon, trying to find answers.
Well, that would certainly pique anybody's interest, I would say. My goodness. So do you believe you have psychic gifts, Richard?
I believe everyone does, and they have them to a greater or lesser degree. I think it's a little bit like musical talent. Mm-hmm. Somebody can write a concerto. I can't carry a tune in a bucket. The only musical instrument I play is the radio.
Oh, there you go, Richard. That's a good one.
And but I do think I have some, because I think being alive is being psychic. And under the right conditions, like it was late that night when I saw the monk, when things are just right, I will have an experience. But I'm not psychic. I know my wife is a gifted psychic. And I met her doing this work and found her help invaluable. And, of course, now we're married, so she helped me out a lot.
Full time now, right?
Yeah.
Oh, that's wonderful. How actually did you meet then? Like, were you working on it?
I was teaching a class on haunted houses through the community services of the local junior college. And she walked into my class and said, I'm psychic. And now I'd heard this from all these people who had walked in who really weren't very psychic. They were what I call wannabe psychics.
Right.
They liked the idea of it, they just didn't have the talent.
Right.
And so I kind of rolled my eyes and said, oh, another one of those, But unlike the others, she really is psychic. And I would put her up against Sylvia Brown or anyone else. She is really good. And if she ever left her real job and just did psychic stuff, she could do, I think, great things. But she just doesn't want to do that.
Well, I think having a psychic on a team doing paranormal investigations is invaluable. It really is. Sandy and Marilyn often talk about, Sandy especially, her psychic experiences and intuitive experiences when she's on an investigation. And I think that's just as important as the actual technical part of the investigation.
I agree 100%.
Yeah, and if I could interject, I've had the honor of working with Richard before and his wife, and she's just phenomenal. Yeah.
Well, we'll have to find out how to get in touch with her.
Yeah.
Okay, Richard?
Oh, sure, by all means.
Thank
Yeah.
you. So tell us then, what was it like in the early days of your career?
Oh, it was really rugged. You're talking about the late 70s, and people were not as enlightened as they are now. And I heard all the jokes. In fact, I took some hits over this, too. I know my career faltered because of my ghost work. My family was threatened by people.
Oh, goodness.
And we got hate mail. It really was pretty hard, not only on my wife, but on my children, too. You know, they were taunted at school. And you know, the worst offenders were teachers, not the other kids.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, wow.
And the kids thought it was kind of cool, but these born-again Christians and all that. Of course, you know what my wife says about Christians.
Please tell us.
The lions didn't eat enough of them.
Oh, your wife is good.
Yeah, and it's kind of sad too because they're filled with so much hate. And I read the Bible. I don't think Jesus was anything like filled with that much spite or rage or inflexibility. This isn't the Jesus I read about. But anyway, I had to face that. And now, of course, when I started, only 10% of the American people believed in ghosts.
I think it's a much higher percentage now.
Oh, it's up to almost a third.
Yes.
Really? Wow.
I actually check statistics on this kind of thing regularly, and yeah, it's amazing how it's changed. Thank goodness.
Yeah, thank goodness. And there's more interest. There's more people. When I started this stuff up, there were 12 ghost hunters in America. And now there's like 12,000 ghost hunters in America. And some of them doing some really fine work.
Oh, wow.
You've been at it for then how many years?
Oh, nearly 30 now.
Amazing. Can you tell us, is there a specific investigation that stands out in your mind?
Oh, so many of them were remarkable that I've undertaken. We recently investigated an old mental hospital.
Those
are famous for.
Oh, they are. In fact, I'm going to put them on my list of where to find ghosts, former mental hospitals. I've also found theaters and colleges, things like this. Well, this mental hospital has been converted into a college.
Oh.
And it was haunted before it was converted. And now the administration is doing their level best to try to keep people from talking about ghosts. And they've told their staff that there are no such things and not to frighten people, especially weak-minded people, you know. And unfortunately, the ghosts didn't get the memo. They're still there. So I did an investigation there. We actually found a vortex.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, I mean, we're talking a zone of energy where everything went numb. My equipment died. I brought in Dr. Barry Taft, one of the eminent parapsychologists in L.A.
Right.
He came up with some of his sophisticated equipment. I'm talking the stuff that NASA uses.
Oh, wow.
And it came in like 3 cases. You had to assemble it like some kind of a nuclear bomb or something. And I was using a little simple device called a cyber probe, which measures static electrical charges. And I got this one place, and all my equipment just went crazy.
Yeah.
So I brought him in, and he looked at my cyber probe and snickered. Oh, you're using those, you know? And I said, yeah, I'm getting this reaction right over here. So he brought his equipment in and set it up. Took me half an hour. And while it was there, his mouth dropped. His face turned strange. He said, this is impossible. And I said, what do you mean? He said, there's no gravity here.
No gravity.
No gravity. He said, everything should be floating around. All of my equipment says there's 0 gravity. And I was right in the middle of the vortex.
What did it feel like physically?
Oh, a tingle. I mean, my skin tingled. The hair stood up on my arms. There was an icy coldness, and I did feel this feeling I get whenever I'm in a very haunted site, kind of a tingle up the back of my neck. And so it definitely, there was something there. But that was a recent one that I went on where not only did we get observations, but we also got scientific records backing it up.
Oh, fabulous.
Oh, one of the funniest things we had, same site, same spot, we were videotaping, because, we do a lot of videotaping and stuff like that. And I had a psychic with me who said he could call the ghost to him. Mm-hmm. And he's a big guy. I think he's a Hawaiian, actually. So he starts yelling out, "Come to us, come to us." And it was pretty ridiculous in a lot of ways. And I was videotaping the whole thing, And so I played it back before we left the site. And there he was, standing in the middle of the room, yelling, "Come to us." And then, on the audio part of the videotape, there was a whistling sound. And at first I thought, oh, it's some defect in the camera, But then it starts to whistle a little tune, a haunting melody. Glitches do not produce music, as a rule. And I know it wasn't fake because I was standing there when the tape was being made. I know I was right there. Nobody was whistling. But it was on that tape. It was really strange.
Oh, how interesting.
Was it in any way recognizable as a tune?
No, not that I could ever analyze. It was like no song I'd ever heard.
Wow. Do you get a lot of EVPs generally in your investigations?
I get some. It seems to come in like waves. I've gotten a lot at another site I'm investigating at the moment. In fact, I'll be out there next weekend. Cool. It's called the Olivas Adobe Historic Park in Ventura. It's an 1847 adobe two-story home of a rich rancher. Mm-hmm. But it's been known to be haunted for years. And I've seen some really weird stuff there. And I've gotten a lot of EVP from that site as well.
Amazing.
But it's all in Spanish.
No.
Which is amazing because I don't speak Spanish.
I just got some Spanish in one of our investigations that we did just recently.
Yeah, and I've had Latino friends who can help me translate it. And they don't say a whole lot. But they never do, not with EVP. But I led a group of people up there as part of a tour for the city. It was kind of a fundraiser deal on Halloween. And most of the time we do these Halloween gigs, they're more for fun than they are for reality.
Right.
And usually you don't see anything. You just talk about ghosts that have been seen in the past. Well, the whole group was there. The thing appeared. Oh. We were in the dark, and this woman, or figure, looked like a woman, just slowly materialized. It grew brighter and brighter. One of the guys had a video camera and pointed it at the figure. Right. As soon as he turned it on, his batteries all went dead.
That's typical.
Another lady at the same time had a cell phone camera. She points it to take a picture of it, right? Her cell phone battery went completely dead. Right. And she had just charged it that morning.
Interesting.
What was the location?
It was in the master bedroom, the middle part of the house. And what was so amazing is when these units were drained of power, it grew brighter. Like
really?
It was taking the energy from the batteries.
Right.
Then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, bam, it was gone. And people were their jaws were dropping. One guy just started to use profanity. As soon as it disappeared, I was, of course, right out there. And the spot where it was ice cold. I mean, freezing cold. And I put my hand in, and again, the hair rose on my arm. And I could feel almost like a tickling sensation on my wrist. On the underside of my wrist as I put it in there.
So do you think that was a touch from the ghost, or was
I think so, or residual energy of some kind.
Was anyone able to capture the entity's picture?
No, not a single one. And then you want to know what's really weird? A week later, I did another group tour, the same site. They saw it too.
Oh.
But it was in a little different position, and it was weaker. Then, the third time was again on a Saturday. I brought a group in there. They saw it as well. Only again, it was in a different thing. And of course, what am I going to do this Saturday? I'm going back there. As a matter of fact, the tour is full,
I'm sure
and most of them are repeat customers.
Oh, you bet. Oh, how fabulous.
Now, I even went inside there and tried to figure out if there was any way it could have been produced by a light from the outside. I went inside. There's no way that could be the case. There was certainly no fraud. I looked all through the building trying to see if there was some sort of projector or something like that.
Sure.
But that's, as I say, a repeatable phenomenon we're getting just at the cycle. Now, maybe the cycle's over, and that seems to be the case here. We'll get a lot of activity, then it'll all go dormant for up to 2 years.
Oh,
then
goodness.
it'll come back.
Yeah.
The same energy would come back, or a different
Different energies.
activity?
This particular one seems to be a little girl in a white nightgown. But,
oh, my.
And we did some research, because that's one of the things I really stress, is doing your historical research. And we looked at it, and I found that a little girl had died in that very room.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh.
You know, she'd been very sickly and ill for many months, and then finally passed away. And her name was Maria.
What era was that in?
Oh, that was about the 1890s.
Wow.
Interesting.
So it's very important to do the homework on this. It's fun to go out in the dark and the cemeteries and get orbs and stuff like that, but you got to sit down and do that thankless job of going back to the history and see if it matches with the phenomenon.
Can you tell us a bit, Richard, about how you researched the history? What were your sources? Where did you go to find the background?
Well, it's really rugged because sometimes there are very few records. Historical societies are very useful. Also, local newspapers many times have past historical events recorded. And there's a large obituary file. So I had the name of the family so I could go back and check the obituary files. And the local cemetery, this particular family had a large plot. Family plot, and you could go there and find the tombstone markings.
Did you go and look it up?
Yes, of course, you have to. And fortunately for me, a lady had done this incredible research and wrote a book about the Olivas family. This is the family that had these.
Oh, how wonderful!
And so I had her account. In fact, I even talked to her. I said, "Is there anything about a little girl?"
Right.
And of course, she's a believer and has seen ghosts too. I said, "Oh, what happened?" So I told her, and she said, "Yeah, I got it right here." Right of her files. So I was very lucky there. But other cases I've gone on, I'm not as fortunate.
Oh, can you tell us, like in researching the history, you mean?
Yeah,
Right,
you'll go to a place, you'll find some bizarre phantom, like this lady who said she was haunted by, what was it, Davy Crockett.
Oh.
I said, I'm sorry, but Davy Crockett never reached California. It really wasn't Davy Crockett. It was a guy in a coonskin cap.
Right.
She equated it with Davy Crockett. But I was never able to find out who he was, or why he would be there. You know, that kind of stuff happens.
But isn't it true that a haunting isn't necessarily tied to a location or an item or something? I mean, ghosts can travel, right?
Oh, yeah.
Can be
And
they can stop somewhere and hang out for a while and move on. So
well,
it'd be really hard to...
There are different kinds of ghosts. Your standard haunting kind of ghost usually is linked to the site in some way. But as you say, there is a ghost linked to furniture or items. This lady didn't own anything that belonged to Davy Crockett, nor... I've also found another thing in that same regard, and that's human remains. anybody who like has bones or skulls or something, they tend to have all kinds of problems with ghosts.
I wouldn't be surprised.
I tell them, like, get rid of this stuff. This guy had bought a mummified head of a Japanese soldier.
Oh, goodness.
Some idiot had collected from the battlefield at Saipan in World War II. And he had all of these terrible things happening, like he'd hear voices talking. We taped it, and it was like Japanese.
Right.
Oh.
So I told him, get rid of it. Get rid of this thing. It's not good.
Well, he deserves to be haunted.
And so he didn't know what to do with it. So he took it out some distance away and dug a hole and wrapped it in a Japanese flag and put it in the ground and poured gasoline on it and burned it. And then buried the ashes. And when he came back, there's no more voices, no more problems, nothing moving around, no footsteps, nothing.
Wow.
So it worked.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's having a skull or a mummified skull in your house would be bound to attract, some kind of energy.
Oh,
yeah, that's not a good thing. If you got any old bones or stuff, get rid of them.
Richard, can ghosts harm people?
I don't believe, well, I used to say no. I used to say that ghosts cannot harm the living. They have the consistency of smoke. But I've changed my mind. I have encountered a few things which I would call evil. Mm-hmm. And I call them a psychic vampire.
Right.
They're very rare, and that's the good news. I didn't even believe they existed until I encountered one. And these things are evil. If anything could be classified as demonic, it would be these critters. And fortunately, they're very, as I say, very rare. They can deliberately try to frighten you. Okay. They can push you downstairs. I've heard of this. They can make you very ill or sick. They can drain the energy right out of you. They're very rare, but I believe they exist. And they will take the energy from the living. Mm-hmm. And nothing you can do to get rid of them seems to work outside of moving.
Right.
And I've had priests come in with try to holy water the whole bit and get nothing but a slap in the face for their effort.
Wow.
But fortunately, they're very rare. I had a ghost friend of mine who was involved in ghost hunting. And she and her little group went to this area which is used by satanic worshipers. And I even told her, don't go there. That's a bad spot. This is negative forces. She went there and something followed her home. And finally she got rid of all of her ghost stuff and became a born-again Christian. And has, cast away all of the occult and now just lives for her new religion, which is giving her some comfort or maybe some security that she didn't have. But there are negative things out there.
Sure. One of the many things that, Richard, that I learned from you is if there's any negativity at all, walk away from it. Don't push the boundaries.
Yeah, it's always good. It's sort of like people who use Ouija boards, and they've got a bad reputation.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, but there's been good stuff out of Ouija boards too. It's not all negative. For every
I use them.
bad story, there's at least one or two good stories too. Mm-hmm. But I found this to be the case. If you have something bad happen with the Ouija board, get away from it. Don't use it ever again. One guy had this really negative thing happen. It scared him to death. He put the Ouija board away, and then he brought it out 15 years later. Now a much older, wiser person, it still came back.
Is that right? Oh, wow.
So if you have something bad happen, get rid of it and don't play with it ever again.
Yeah.
It's just you've got the wrong, whatever it is, the wrong opening there for you. Right. But I'm still not ready to condemn them outright, and I've gotten too many bits of good information to just say they're all low spirits or evil spirits.
Right. Oh, yeah.
Well, yeah, there's definitely a school that totally is terrified of them and is against their use. But again, a lot of it is how it's approached, how the whole approach.
I think of a Ouija board as a tool to open things up, just like a hammer can be a beautiful tool if you're building a house.
Not so good if you're smashing somebody's head in, though.
Right, that's true. It's sort of like a gun. It can be a great thing to protect your family or yourself from attack, but it can also kill you.
Yeah.
So you have to be very, very, very cautious.
Right.
So I urge people, if you're going to do something like that, be very cautious. And at the first sign, if you feel anything bad in anything that you're doing, any experiment, terminate the experiment.
Definitely.
Once.
Yep.
That's my advice.
Yeah, that's good advice too.
What should people do if they see a ghost?
Oh, you know the best thing to do?
What?
Just sit there and watch the show. Because most ghost sightings are not very long. We're talking seconds,
right?
Not
exactly.
minutes. And so it'll be over before you know it. But your best thing to do is try to look at the details. You know what? I've seen ghosts, and I've talked to others as well. Maybe you've had the same experience. Mm-hmm. It's like watching a natural phenomenon, some rare event like the infamous green flash or the aurora borealis or something. It's just, there's a sense of wonder and amazement. And the notion comes to you, this is a ghost. There, it's in front of you, right there. And then usually the fear comes in after it's gone.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then you go, I just saw a ghost.
Yeah.
And then you start to. Now, whatever I say is sit back, watch, try to notice as many details as possible on the phantom. Don't try to shine a light on it. Don't try to approach it or anything. Just watch it and see what it's doing. And then after it's gone, sit down and write down exactly what you saw. And if possible, draw a picture of it.
Yes.
With all the details that you remember.
That's good advice.
And then the weirdest thing I find is people will get these minutiae details after they've seen something for only a few seconds. So I don't think we're really seeing these with our eyes.
Right. Definitely. Probably with the third eye.
With something else. Because here's this lady sees this ghost some distance away, yet she could describe the pin the woman was wearing on her dress. The pin's got this nice little design in it. Well, how did you see that in the few seconds you saw it across the room?
Right.
People, it's almost as if the ghost is trying to communicate in some fashion.
A message.
Yeah, a message. So they'll notice a detail like a hat or a ring or something, but they won't notice if they had any feet or not, or if they had shoes or something like that.
Really? Yeah.
And but no, sit back and enjoy the show and sit down and write about it and draw about it as soon as you can. In fact, that's good advice for anyone. If you happen to be out and the president drives by and somebody shoots him, the first thing you ought to do is write it down. What you actually saw. Was there someone on the grassy knoll?
Yeah.
You're supposed to write down exactly what you saw while it's fresh in your mind. The same is true for accidents. If you should have an accident or if you should witness some bizarre event, be it a ghost, UFO, or Bigfoot, sit down and write it down, what you actually saw.
Yeah, definitely recording it when it's still fresh, just after it happened, is very, very useful.
Yep, that's what ghost hunting's all about, is collecting data and trying to put it together in some useful fashion. Looking for patterns, trying to see if there's something that we can learn about this remarkable phenomenon.
Definitely.
Right. Oh, that's very good advice. Yeah.
Richard, you've worked with many people in the psychic field. I'd like to know who impressed you the most.
Bar none, two people stand out in my mind. Both of them are gone now, sad to say. One was Dr. Thelma Moss out of the UCLA parapsychology lab. Mm-hmm. She was a fantastic woman and did so much for psychic research. And even though, remarkably, she never saw a ghost in all of her life. But she believed in them and did the research and led groups of people who did see ghosts. But working with Dr. Thelma Moss was one of the high points of my career. Another great man was D. Scott Rogo. And we lost a great man when he was murdered by some cretin who broke into his house and found him asleep on the couch and bludgeoned him to death.
Oh, hey.
And later psychics came forward and were able to give clues that let the police capture the killer.
Oh, fabulous.
So that was the positive, but he was a great man. His book, first, The Haunted House Handbook, was the first book I read that gave me some real insights to doing an investigation. His other book, which is a classic and a chilling book, by the way, is Phone Calls from the Dead.
Oh, yes, I have that. It's a fabulous book.
Yeah, so D. Scott Rogo was two people I was very, very pleased to work with. There have been a few other people I'll have to admit I haven't been so pleased with, but I won't go into their names because I don't want to get into anything negative. That certainly is not positive to this new science.
Yeah,
I'd like to mention that
positive and teach by example, hopefully.
Yeah, I mean, it's like the 11th commandment. I try not to run down other psychics or psychic researchers. Unfortunately, a lot of people don't follow that commandment, and there's a whole lot of backbiting in the psychic world. I'm sure you know about that.
Yeah, I sure do. Yeah. Marilyn had something she wanted to mention here real quick. I'd like to mention that, Richard, you taught the class also that Sherlock Holmes himself was psychic or worked with psychics in crime cases. Oh,
actually, you're right and wrong at the same time.
Okay.
Sherlock Holmes is a fictional character, but it was created by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, who had many psychic gifts and later became an ardent spiritualist and wrote one of the first good books on psychic research called The Edge of the Unknown. And I recommend anyone involved in this study to read that book, even though he gets kind of hung up on Houdini.
Right.
Houdini, he had a feud going on.
Yeah.
Besides that, his book, The Edge of the Unknown, is a really good place to start psychic research. But he actually did go out and help police, and he tried to use the skills of his fictional character, Sherlock Holmes, in several different ways.
That's fascinating.
Oh, that is.
It's amazing how many actual famous people were spiritualists or in the spiritualist movement. It's whenever I catch a famous name, I'm like, oh, that person too. It was like really, really a big fad and movement, wasn't it?
Oh, it was a fantastic movement, and so many people got involved in it. Yeah. Starting out in America in 1848 with the Fox sisters,
right,
sweeping across the country. Even Abraham Lincoln had seances in the White House.
Yes.
And of course, your Prime Minister Mackenzie was also very much of a spiritualist.
No, that I didn't know.
Oh. Yeah, in fact, his house, which is now a historic landmark, is haunted. And
that doesn't surprise me, but that's really interesting information.
In fact, if I ever get to Toronto, one of the places I'm going to go is the Mackenzie House.
Well, I'm coming with you.
Yeah, maybe we spend a night there. I'd like to...
You'll have to hold her hand, Richard.
Oh.
Just at the scary parts. I'm okay. Yeah. Well, as long as it's not dark. I'm horrible. I had a haunted basement in my old house, and I wouldn't even go down there. It was,
sometimes we have in my house I live in, I got my house really cheap. And that's because it fell out of escrow because everyone would move in and then after a few days move out.
Really?
And 5 people have died here over the years. And the last resident hung herself in the basement.
Oh goodness.
But of course, we got it cheap. But
and are you okay there?
Oh, yeah, we're fine. We've made friends with the ghosts.
Good.
Even though at first it was kind of rugged because when my wife walked in, we're moving in, we have a large picnic basket I put away. It flew out of the cupboard and hit her in the head.
Uh-oh.
She was by herself, too. There was nobody there.
Oh, my goodness.
But since then, she's seen the ghost several times, and we just, oh, hi, Alice, how are you? we get along quite well.
Yeah.
But with people in our profession, a few ghosts in the house is just added feature.
Right. It would be boring without her, right?
Yeah, and that's true. And our dogs were kind of weird. We have two. She, by the way, loved dogs when she was alive. We researched that out too. So I guess maybe our dogs have won her over, because at first they wouldn't even go where she hung herself.
Oh, okay.
And now they do. They go everywhere. But at first it took like a little getting to know you session.
Right.
Oh, yeah, really? How fun. Do your dogs, do they let you know when your entities are around? And
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The animals are very sensitive.
Oh, definitely.
And cats and dogs especially.
But dogs too, yes.
Do you know what the most psychic animal is?
What is that?
A rattlesnake.
No.
Really?
I do not advise taking one on a ghost hunt.
Oh, okay.
But a number of psychic researchers have got all these menagerie of animals and threw them into haunted houses and tried to gauge their response. And the animal that increasingly was able to detect the haunted furniture they put in was a rocking chair, and strike at it was the rattlesnake.
Isn't that interesting?
How do the snake, does it feel through its belly?
No, probably through its tongue.
Through its tongue.
Yeah, because they measure vibrations,
Okay.
and they measure almost like a radar, a heat-sensitive device. That's how they strike their prey. So maybe this may have something to do with thermographics, or maybe they're picking up some kind of electromagnetic field, or whatever it is. But it gives us more insights to what ghosts are all about.
Oh, definitely.
Oh, that's fascinating. Oh.
Richard, you say you're based in Southern California, and you mentioned that you have a special focus on Hollywood. What do you mean by that?
Well, my family came west in the 1920s to work at the studios in Hollywood. In fact, my grandfather was one of the carpenters who built MGM Studios.
Oh.
And they liked him so much they kept him on to build sets. And then all of his sons and a few of his daughters went to work for MGM. Nepotism being what it is in Hollywood. And so my dad worked there, and they all had stories of ghosts. And all the studios down there are haunted. Did you know that? Everyone, no exceptions.
I can imagine so.
And a lot of people died, especially in the early years when there weren't a lot of safety provisions put in. That someone would die, they would just stop shooting for a day and then go back to work. And hire somebody else. Lots of people to hire. So I got some of my first stories out of my father, and my family worked on all the great MGM films and knew a lot of the people like Mickey Rooney and all these people. In fact, 5 of my family worked on The Wizard of Oz.
Oh,
really?
Wow.
Yeah, in fact, there's one short scene that lasts a few seconds that actually shows part of the Munchkin village, a doorway with all these flowers painted on it. My dad painted those flowers.
Oh, fabulous.
So whenever it comes out, I have to watch that part. And we had all these stories about the Munchkins getting drunk, chasing Judy Garland around, and so it was just a wild time. But that's where I got my first stories about Hollywood and ghosts there. And a lot of my family are still involved in the entertainment business, in the industry, as they call it. So I was able to collect more ghost stories and meet other people who had their stories. And I managed to do some investigating at Universal Studios and at a number of the other studios. I just finished one at the old Culver Studios, which used to be the Cecil B. DeMille Studios.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And I've gotten a chance to actually go to some of the mansions owned by the stars of long ago. And they all have ghosts in them, like you might find in England with some haunted manor house. I mean, they have a ghostly lineage that goes back to the silence.
Oh, gosh.
So it's really quite fascinating. And a lot of the actors, long ago and today, are still very superstitious. And did you know that Rudolph Valentino was a spiritualist
Yes,
and actually
I read.
saw ghosts?
Yeah.
But you know what else he did?
But
He held seances at his house, and he rigged his house up with devices to make noise.
Oh, no.
Just for fun, you know. So if the seance was a little drab, you could push a button and bang, instant
things
ghost.
up.
And for years, that scared the daylights out of people who didn't know the stuff was hidden in the walls and floors.
Yeah. Oh,
They'd walk through and, oh, did you hear that? I thought it was old Rudy having fun.
Now, Richard, do you have any of these stories documented in one of your books? Or
Oh, yes, I have a book
coming?
called Hollywood Ghosts. It's the Fabulous Phantoms of Filmdom. It's a subtitle, a little bit of whimsy. I talk about some of the studios, hotels, theaters, and other places in the film capital where ghosts are there. These are all stories I've researched. These aren't stuff I've ripped out off of other authors or mined out of old articles in the newspaper. No, I do my own original work. I'm not, in fact, I kind of dislike people who just, what I call them are library ghost hunters. They just go buy some books, rip off the stories, put them together in a new way, and sell them.
Right.
And what I hate is I get ripped off a great deal, and nobody calls me up and says, "Is this what really happened?" But usually they get the stories wrong.
Right.
And I would help people. There are people out who are very jealous of their research, but if people are going to rip me off, at least get my story correct.
Yeah.
And I'll help them out. I'll even give them new information.
Right.
Because I think it's important that people know this material, and I don't mind sharing it.
Well,
can you get this Hollywood Ghost? Can we purchase your books on your website?
Yeah, you can do that, or you
Cool.
can go on to Amazon.com, or they're on eBay. They're all over.
Oh, cool. Okay.
One of the places you can get them is a Phantom Bookshop, which is ran by a friend of mine, and he helps with my website and all that. So
okay.
Where is that located?
It's on the website Phantoms at Phantom singular at phantoms.com is the email site, and my site is ghost-stalker.com.
Right. It's a great site, too. I've enjoyed
Yes,
looking
it is.
there, and I'll be definitely checking back, see what you're up to.
And
I
sign
always
up for
try
his
to ask.
newsletter. Sign up for his newsletter. That's fabulous to read. You
Oh, yes, I forgot I was going to do that when I was at the site, and I totally forgot, so I will.
Okay, always sign up for the newsletter, otherwise you won't get it.
bet. Yeah.
Or just email me. I get email from all over the world. I got some email from Norway, recently from Scotland, and the weirdest one I got was from China. There's a city in southern China which is supposed to be the most haunted city in China.
Now, who wrote to you from China, then?
What?
Who wrote to you from there?
I don't really know. Some fellow who lives in China emailed me.
Oh, cool.
Did he tell you about the hauntings, or did he want you to come and
he
visit?
wanted to know about, does this kind of stuff happen in the West? And really, this good. So I said, yeah, it happens here too.
So
he was very pleased to get that information.
Wow, excellent. Well, Richard, I hope you will come back and join us again some other time, because I've got about 1 million more questions to ask, and I'm sure you have a zillion more stories to tell.
Oh, it's fun. I always enjoy talking about these things and continuing my research.
Wonderful. Once again, everybody, you can visit Richard online at www.ghost-stalker.com and check out his upcoming events and books and newsletter, too. So we'll wrap up our show tonight, and thank you once again, Richard.
Oh, thank you for letting me come on.
We'll keep in touch, and do come back, okay?
All right.
Okay. Sandy, thank you for being here. Everybody, you can visit Sandy anytime at sandypsychicstones.com. And
you.
Marilyn, thank you too. It was great to talk to you again. Rob?
Yep, I'm closing it out.
Okay.